Okay, so what drew me to learning from James is his straightforward use of language. I love the way he uses language to explain that I've never heard other people use before. He really does have this practical new approach. It's not like what I've heard of before. And he's just so serious. I love how serious this is. I mean, maybe it's 'cause the fifth line in me loves the fifth line in him, but I love how serious he is. There's no fluff in his words, and it's not about him. And not in a I want to be famous kind of way, but in a real like I understand this system and I want to share. Like this is the fifth line. So the other trainings I've done was through IHDS, and that felt very rigid and structured. I mean, James had structure, but it wasn't like a structure that was so forced. The other ones I felt were very forced. Like you had to submit all these, you had to submit all these assignments and homeworks, which felt like for other people, it didn't work for other people, but they didn't consider any of that. With James, it was just pure like knowledge and pure transmit that like a transmission, pure transmission, and through a very different angle. And he was talking about things that others weren't talking about at first. Like he went through motivation immediately. So he's again, he's going through all the source material and kind of pushing forward other things that were not traditionally put forward, which I really felt was like a game changer, even in the way I do readings now, even in the way I look at the chart. When before they used to say, oh, you shouldn't be talking about PHS and he did. And I realized, oh my God, it is important. So he pushed forward a lot of things that were very important that were mainstream not presented. It was complex, I have to say. Like I would have to listen to the classes twice
Mm.
because it was complex. But as with any, you know, higher knowledge,
Yeah.
it sometimes does take the mind a few tries to understand it.
Yeah.
And that for me was a sign that what he was talking about had merit. Because when things, to me, especially for me as a mental projector, when it's abstract and I have to chew on it a little more, and this is coming from a mental projector. I don't know how it is for other people, but for me, it was abstract. I had to chew on it twice and then it sank in. I was at the point in my experiment where I felt like human design wasn't supposed to be my entire life.
Mm.
When I started, I became very, very rigid about it, as I think most people do. I was very rigid. By the time I got to James, I felt like human design is just a tool, it's a map. And I was already living outside the map. I was kind of just living life. And if I was making mistakes, if I was in transference, if I was not self, then I accepted all of it. And so when I got to his training, and that's also his language. The not self to him was like not something to be ashamed of or to like deny. And so I came into it with that mindset, and it really helped me settle into that being of just live life. Life is in the game. The game of life is in the game of life. It's not in your human design chart. The most challenging part for me was synthesizing. I mean, a lot of people who were in the first semester had already a lot of experience with James, and they already had this experience about synthesizing. And I have a little bit more trouble synthesizing an entire chart. So the challenge for me was how to continue to look and to just practice. Like practice now when I'm invited to do charts, I practice and before I do the chart. So that was the challenge. It's still a challenge for me,
Yeah.
but I have been listening back to the classes, which I love, being able to listen back to the classes and things just click. Things just click not in a timely order or like in a linear way. It just clicks. There was no pressure on anybody to perform the way I experienced my first semester with, you know, and there was no pressure and there was just space. There was space to be. If you're not, you are where you are.
Yeah.
And I love that he spoke to us first before we signed up, vetting everyone.
Yeah.
Make sure that are you up for this? Or like get to know James from his posts, get to know him from his podcast, like short excerpts. See what he's about because he's serious. He's serious. That's all I can. He's serious, but he's also funny in a way. He's like, yeah, he's a
Yeah.
fifth line. The last class or the last extra class was all about just integrating. And he was speaking just so beautifully. Like I was crying at the end.
Oh,
He was just talking about the experience of human design and what not what it should look like, but almost like a reflection of what it's about. And yeah, that really got me. I watched it again. It was really touching, actually.